In late 1980s Paris, the most wanted fugitive was not a gangster. It was a biker with no face, no name, and a pitch-black superbike that turned the city's deadliest highway into his racetrack. The French police tried everything to catch him, but Le Prince Noir vanished every time, leaving only rumors and VHS tapes that stunned Europe. Who was the ghost that humiliated an entire nation's law enforcement? And how did his legend rewrite the rules of pursuit? The real story of this perfect phantom begins beneath Parisian streetlights. His secret has never been unmasked. No one ever saw his face. No one could say where he slept or whether he even had a home. In the late 1980s in Paris, the legend of Le Prince Noir began as a whisper, an invisible force haunting the city's veins. The press did not print his photograph. Police could not provide a sketch. All they had was a name passed from officer to officer, biker to biker, the Black Prince. His existence was pieced together from fragments, rumors of a shadow on two wheels, stories traded in late-night cafes, and the angry radio chatter of gendarmerie patrols left in his wake. He was everywhere and nowhere. One morning, a patrol would claim to glimpse a black blur slicing through the périphérique traffic, vanishing before sirens could even rise. Another night, a checkpoint would report a rider who seemed to melt into the city's labyrinth, leaving only the echo of his engine and the smell of burnt rubber. The name Le Prince Noir became a code for the uncatchable, the unknowable. It was never written in official police bulletins, but it spread through the underground like wildfire. For the gendarmerie, the situation was a humiliation. They were trained to chase criminals, not phantoms. Yet this was no ordinary fugitive. There were no fingerprints, no mugshots, no known associates. He wore all black, from helmet to boots, and his bike was stripped of any markings or license plate. Even the model was a matter of debate. Some swore it was a Suzuki GSX-R 1100. Others whispered about a Honda or Kawasaki. The only certainty was speed. By the time a patrol car caught the roar of his engine, he was already gone, lost in the chaos of Parisian traffic, swallowed by the city itself. In the biker underground, Le Prince Noir was more than a ghost. He was a symbol. He became the subject of late-night arguments and secret admiration, a living myth who defied the police and the rules of the road. To the authorities, he was a taunt, a reminder that their grip on the city was not as tight as they believed. To everyone else, he was a question that no one could answer. How do you catch a man who does not exist? The hunt for the Black Prince was not just a search for a criminal. It was a chase after a shadow, a name without a face, a legend born in the slipstream of a motorcycle tearing through the heart of Paris. The Boulevard Périphérique is a circle of concrete and chaos, slicing through the city like a scar. 35 kilometers of tight, twisting lanes, hemmed in by concrete barriers and punctuated by tunnels that swallow light and sound. For most drivers, it is a daily ordeal, a grinding, unpredictable gauntlet of merging traffic, sudden exits, and endless jams. But for Le Prince Noir, this was more than just a road. It was a labyrinth he had memorized, every curve and every blind spot, every slippery patch and every hidden escape. The ring road's geometry became his map to vanishing. 4 lanes wide in places, narrowing to 3 without warning, a dozen tunnels offering cover from the sky, and more than 30 exits, each one a potential escape route. At the heart of the legend is the machine itself. Underneath the rider, a superbike stripped of anything that could tie it to a name or an address. The most persistent rumors point to a Suzuki GSX-R 1100, one of the fastest production bikes in Europe at the time. Its engine, 1,127 cubic centimeters, could push the bike past 260 kilometers per hour. But raw speed was only part of the equation. The Black Prince's bike was a ghost on the radar. Every decal peeled away, every badge removed, the fairings resprayed in flat black. No license plate, no reflective tape, not even a sticker. At night, under sodium streetlights, it became a shadow. Impossible to pick out in a crowd of headlights and taillights. He rode in gear as anonymous as the bike itself. Black helmet, black leathers, black gloves. No identifying marks, no club patches, nothing to catch a camera's eye. The anonymity was total. Traffic cameras caught only a blur. Witnesses remembered only the roar of the engine and the flash of black. In the tunnels, the sound bounced and echoed, impossible to trace. On the open stretches, the bike slipped between cars, sometimes brushing mirrors at more than 200 kilometers per hour. On the ramps and interchanges, he moved with surgical precision, never hesitating, never slowing for the chaos around him. The Périphérique's danger was its own defense. For the police, every chase risked a pileup, a disaster in the making. But for Le Prince Noir, the road's unpredictability was an ally. He could vanish down an exit, disappear into a tunnel, or simply outpace pursuit before anyone could react. The city itself became his shield, and the superbike, silent, black, and untraceable, his perfect accomplice. Parisian command centers buzzed with frustration. Each new report of the Black Prince left the Gendarmerie with fewer explanations and even fewer leads. Patrol captains gathered in windowless rooms, poring over city maps, trying to predict the next appearance. The usual tactics, routine checkpoints, and random stops proved useless. The prince slipped through every net. Desperation bred invention. Roadblocks became more elaborate, sometimes springing up at half a dozen exits at once. Officers waited behind concrete barriers, radios crackling with nervous energy. But the prince did not just avoid these traps. He mocked them. Witnesses recall a night when he pulled a wheelie straight past a cordon, the front wheel suspended in defiance, engine screaming as the officers stood powerless. Another time, a patrol gave chase, only to watch helplessly as the black bike darted through a gap in the traffic, disappearing into a tunnel before the squad car could even accelerate. The gendarmerie escalated. Helicopters joined the pursuit, circling above the Périphérique, searchlights sweeping the asphalt. Yet even from the sky, the prince proved elusive. Tunnels became his shield. He would time his runs to coincide with the approach of aerial units, diving into the darkness just as the rotors thundered overhead. By the time the chopper emerged on the other side, the black blur had vanished, swallowed by the maze of exits and overpasses. The city's geography, so familiar to the police, became a weapon in the hands of a rider who knew every shortcut, every blind turn, every place where a helicopter's line of sight broke against concrete and steel. Technology was supposed to tip the balance. In the wake of these humiliations, city officials approved a new network of traffic cameras designed to catch motorcycles in the act. Engineers installed high-speed shutters and wide-angle lenses, aiming to freeze even the fastest rider in a single frame. But the prince anticipated every advance. He rode without a plate, his bike a matte shadow that reflected no light. The cameras caught little more than streaks and after-images, useless blurs that mocked the promise of surveillance. Analysts pored over the footage, frame by frame, searching for clues. They found nothing. Morale in the Gendarmerie suffered. Officers rotated through night shifts, some openly dreading the call that would send them onto the Périphérique. Each failed pursuit meant more scrutiny from superiors, more questions they could not answer. Some patrolmen began to believe the rumors, that the Black Prince was more than just a man, that he was a force of the city itself, impossible to catch by ordinary means. Yet the pressure to stop him only grew. The authorities could not afford to let a legend run wild, flaunting their power with every lap around Paris. Each new tactic, each new piece of technology only seemed to feed the myth. And somewhere in the city, the prince watched and waited, ready for the next round in the hunt. On a Sunday morning in September 1989, the impossible happened. A black superbike launched onto the Boulevard Périphérique and completed the entire 35-kilometer ring in just 11 minutes and 4 seconds. The numbers alone defied belief. An average speed of nearly 200 kilometers per hour, with bursts well above 250 kilometers per hour, all while weaving through pockets of early commuter traffic. At that hour, the city was waking up. Delivery vans, taxis, and the first wave of Parisians heading to work. The legal speed on the Périphérique hovered around 43 kilometers per hour. The Black Prince was moving at 4 times that, threading through the chaos with a precision that bordered on the supernatural. The feat was more than a rumor. It became a pulse that ran through the veins of Parisian biker culture because the ride was filmed, not with a crew or a chase car, but with a camera strapped to the rider's helmet. A bulky early camcorder, the kind that weighed as much as a helmet itself. The footage was raw and unsteady, the city flashing past in a blur of sodium lights and concrete. The sound was a howl, engine, wind, the Doppler scream of passing cars. There was no narration, no explanation, just speed, risk, and the relentless advance of the needle on the speedometer. In the days before the internet, proof traveled by hand. The first tape appeared anonymously in the mailroom of a French television station. The station never aired the footage, but it did not matter. Someone copied the tape, and then someone else copied that copy. Within weeks, bootleg VHS dubs were changing hands in bike shops, garages, and late-night street meets, not just in Paris, but in Marseille, Lyon, even as far as London and Berlin. The tape became contraband, a secret handshake among riders. No one claimed authorship. No one admitted to knowing the rider. The myth only grew. Experts picked apart the tape, frame by frame. They matched tunnel entrances and exit ramps, counted the seconds between landmarks, and tried to estimate the true speed. Some said the run was physically impossible, that no one could survive those maneuvers at those speeds in that traffic. Others insisted the tape was real, its authenticity sealed by the sheer chaos and danger visible in every frame. No one could agree on the bike's exact model or the rider's identity. But everyone agreed on one thing. The lap time, 11 minutes and 4 seconds, was now the gold standard, the line between legend and reality. The authorities condemned the tape, but their outrage only fueled the underground. Police had no way to trace the source. The Gendarmerie's own records offered nothing. No official time, no captured footage, no arrest. The only evidence was the tape itself, endlessly duplicated, endlessly debated. In the absence of hard proof, the legend took on a life of its own. The Black Prince had done what no one else dared. He had filmed his crime, distributed it to the world, and vanished before anyone could lay a hand on him. The line between myth and memory blurred, and the 11-minute run became the heartbeat of an entire subculture. Even now, decades later, no authenticated original has ever surfaced. But the story refuses to die, replayed with every hiss of a worn VHS tape and every whispered retelling in a midnight garage. Whispers of the Black Prince's true identity moved through Paris like exhaust on a cold morning, visible for a moment, then gone. Every theory started with the same question: who had the skill, the nerve, and the resources to haunt the Périphérique at 200 kilometers per hour, then vanish without a trace? The underground offered 3 answers, each as slippery as the next. Some were convinced he was a stuntman, a man paid to risk his life, whose mastery came from years of pushing the limits for film crews and commercials. Mechanics at certain garages swore they had prepped bikes for a silent client with the reflexes of a cat and the caution of a bomb technician. He never gave a last name, never lingered after the work was done. Others painted a different picture: an off-duty police officer, maybe even a gendarmerie instructor, someone who knew every patrol schedule and every blind spot in the city's surveillance. The way the Prince anticipated roadblocks, the way he used tunnels to outwit helicopters. These were not just lucky guesses, they said, but the moves of someone who had studied the chase from both sides. Yet when police files were quietly checked, no one found a missing bike, a rogue officer, or a disciplinary report that matched the myth. A third story took shape in the glow of late-night cafes, whispered over empty espresso cups. This version imagined the Prince as a wealthy thrill-seeker, maybe an aristocrat with money to burn and no fear of consequences. Only someone with deep pockets, they argued, could afford to destroy and rebuild superbikes after every close call, to pay for the best parts and the most discreet help. But no registration records, no insurance claims, no trace of a black GSX-R ever led back to a chateau or a trust fund. One name surfaced again and again: Pascal. It was always just the first name, never more. No one could say for sure if it was real or a decoy, a breadcrumb left to keep the hunt alive. Eyewitnesses described a man obsessed with preparation, who arrived before dawn, kept his helmet on indoors, and spoke only when necessary. He never bragged, never sought attention, and left before questions could catch up. Police dossiers remained empty, and the underground's best guesses dissolved into rumor. The Black Prince became not just a fugitive, but a reflection of everyone's hopes and suspicions. A man built from shadows, known only by the legend he left in his wake. Wheelies in front of police barricades, sudden brake checks that left patrol cars scrambling, and vanishing acts into the maze of Paris tunnels. These moments became the signature of Le Prince Noir. Every move was a calculated taunt, a dare sent not to the world, but to those chasing him. His stunts were not just about speed. They were a psychological game designed to rattle his pursuers and thrill the underground. The tapes that circulated, grainy and raw, copied from hand to hand, captured more than velocity. They showed a rider who seemed to anticipate every move, who used the city not just as a backdrop, but as a weapon. The soundtracks were pure engine and wind, punctuated by the shouts of frustrated officers left behind. These VHS tapes became the forbidden currency of a new subculture. In garages and late-night meetups, riders watched the footage, studying every maneuver and every split-second decision. For many, This was the first glimpse of what would become a global phenomenon, the onboard action video. Long before the age of GoPros and YouTube, Prince Noir had invented the genre. He turned his own crimes into legend, inspiring a wave of imitators who strapped cameras to their helmets and chased their own records. The Swedish GhostRider, who would go on to break records in the 2000s, called the Black Prince his inspiration, admitting his own runs were easier, less traffic, and better bikes, but never the same chaos or risk. The authorities tried to stamp out the legend by cracking down on copycats and tightening surveillance, but the story only grew. Moto journalists debated the ethics of the tapes, but even the harshest critics could not ignore the technical mastery on display. For a generation of riders, the Black Prince became the godfather of moto vlogging, the outlaw who proved that the camera could be as powerful as the machine itself. Then, in 1993, the story stopped. No new tapes surfaced, no credible sightings, no police reports, not even a rumor of another run. Some said he died in a crash, pushing for an even faster lap. Others whispered that the death was a hoax, a perfect way to vanish just as the hunt reached its peak. Hospitals and police denied any knowledge. The name Pascal faded back into rumor. The silence was total, and that silence became the final act of the legend. Decades later, the question remains unanswered. Did the Black Prince die for speed, or did he simply win the game and disappear? His story lingers in every revving engine and every whispered dare, the legend of a rider who outran not just the law, but time itself. Today, urban bikers worldwide still chase adrenaline on crowded streets, recording every moment for millions to see. The myth of the faceless rider, untraceable and undefeated, fuels a digital subculture that blurs thrill and recklessness. As cameras become confessions and speed becomes spectacle, the line between legend and law grows thinner. Some ghosts never slow down. They just disappear into the traffic, daring us to follow.